Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of Rabe Creations. Today is a floss tube day, so we'll be talking all about cross stitch. So, how have you all been doing? I hope you've been doing well. Thankfully, the COVID-19 restrictions are being lifted fast and furious here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, where I live, with my husband Barry and my wonderful rescued Rottweiler named Grace. Summer is definitely here, if not, well, it's kind of on its way, but it's kind of here too. Of course, we have started getting much warmer weather, and the trees are completely leaved out now. Flowers are starting to blossom in the garden. I know I watch floss tubes and podcasts from across the world, and it's really interesting to me to see how differently people's regions are when it comes to the foliage and things blooming and growing, and it's very interesting to see the same plant grown across North America, but how it blooms at different times depending on where it has been planted. As for stitchy time, of course, I am still at home. I have not yet found a new job, although I keep trying. One day I will manage to get myself a new job, but until then, I am still at home. However, I find personally that once the hot weather hits, it's more difficult to spend time stitching. And that has a lot to do with hyperhidrosis. Big words, I know. Hyperhidrosis is, I mean, for lack of a better term, my hands, my feet. I'm a sweaty kind of person. It is an actual medical condition where my hands and feet produce a lot more moisture than they should. And that is exasperated when it comes to hot weather, and it is very difficult to stitch when your hands are dripping wet. So I find that I actually get less stitchy time in the summer than I do in cooler weather. But I still do manage to get some in, and I have managed to get some in. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, let me see. I have some progress to show you on my projects that are my works in progress. So I believe I have stitched on every single one of them to show you. I have been doing some secret stitching that I can't share with you yet, but it revolves around a new chart that should be released sometime in July. So that has been happening in my world. I have managed to dye up some more Aida cloth. I have 3 pieces to show you today. The 4th piece has already sold. And if you are interested in any of those pieces of Aida, come on over to my Etsy shop, Rabe Creations on Etsy, and you can check out what I've got to offer there. So I've got progress to show you. I've got some dyed Aida to show you. And I also have quite a few charts to show you. I did get a number of shipments have arrived from Michelle Lindy Stitches. I took part in her last destash, and the destash charts have come in. I didn't order through 123 Stitch, mostly just for flosses and some pink colored Aida. I'm not going to be showing any of the flosses that I've brought in because I couldn't wait and I had to put them into my projects right away. So they've already been dispersed. I had another order come in from, let me see, Traditional Stitches, which is my local needlework shop here. I ordered some Aida that is in my secret project, so I can't show you that. And again, a little bit of floss. And then I have, oh, and from 123 Stitch, I also got a chart. And then I am still waiting on a package to come in from the 1884 Stitchery. So I was hoping it would come for today's podcast, but it'll just mean I'll have some charts to show you for next time. So that's sort of the itinerary for the day. If that sounds like something you're interested, let's get right into it. All right, so let's get right into the projects. So one of the things that I have decided to do is this weekend, it is Friday today, Friday the 12th of June. And one of the things I am planning on doing this weekend is some finishing. Like many of you, while everything was in lockdown, I got quite a bit of stitching done and quite a bit of stitching finished. So now I have to fully finish some of those pieces. So expect to see a fair amount of finishes for the next floss tube. But for today, let's just go through my current projects. So the first one I am going to show you is Crow, and this is by Nobby Creek, Nobby Farm, Nobby, oh my goodness, is it on here? It is, Stoney Knob Farm Heirlooms. Which is an Etsy shop, and they do a lot of wonderful full coverage. This is a full coverage piece of a crow, and I have worked quite a bit here in the confetti type stuff, and a little bit more of the fill-in through here. So this piece is being worked in DMC flosses, everything in the called for floss list there, and it is on 14 count white aida. Yeah, and that's that. Quite pleased with how this is coming along. I'm getting much more comfortable with the confetti stitching and the cross-country technique, so that is a positive. All right. Oops, sorry about that. So moving right along. It is a new start. Okay, so for those of you who don't know, I am expecting my first grandchild in September the 4th. So that's another thing I've been doing, is planning a baby shower. I am planning to have a baby shower here for my daughter-in-law on July 4th. So that has taken up some of my time as well, because of course I have to handcraft things. So I made up the invitations, and oh, it's so exciting. But anyway, I am going to do up a birth sampler for her now. I don't know how well you're going to see this. It is very, very subtle. So this is out of Just Cross Stitch, and it is the April 2020 edition. And the chart is called Welcome Little One, and it is done on pink aida, which is why I talked about having got some pink aida in. It's for this chart. And it is done in very subtle colors, lots of whites. I have changed the pale blue that's in here to a pale yellow because my grandbaby, her name is Hazel, her nursery is going to be done in pinks and yellows, so I thought that would go nicely. Now, I did give my daughter-in-law a choice between this and another chart, and she chose this one. So this is the one that I am stitching up for her. Now, one of the things that I have decided to, I love all these little motifs of all the baby type stuff around it, and there is sort of a set of is it all alphabet? There is numbers and then alphabet around. I am not doing that. First of all, the alphabet is missing a letter. Don't get me started. And I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to do the motifs. And then in each of the corners, there is some little duckies. So I think I will continue to have those little duckies down here in the corner. But I maybe ducks here and here just to sort of frame the piece, but I am not going to be doing the alphabets and the numbers that are around. I'm just going to do up the motifs, but that is really cute, and this is where I have gotten on that piece. So it is being worked on a piece of light pink Zweigart based Aida cloth in a 16 count. And I don't know how well you're going to see this because the stitching is really, really pale. Let me hold this up behind it and see if you can see it. I'm not sure how well this is going to show up on camera. I will, as always, have pictures of all the pieces attached to, shown here, and then hopefully you'll be able to get a better look. So far I have done these little shirts. There is a little handheld mirror here, and these are actually 3 onesies. So you can see I'm using a bit of a darker pink than was used in the chart, as well as the yellow. Like along the bottom of this shirt is some yellow, and through the second onesie is some yellow. Yeah, so that's that. And I should tell you that this is a design by Natalia Luniva, one of the Russian designers. Quite nice, very little back stitching or anything like that. There are some French knots. You know me and my sketchy French knots. So we shall see how that goes. So as I said, being worked in most of the called for DMC colors, 2 substitutions with one of the pinks, and then a yellow. So that is that. And the next one I have to show you is Barbara Anna Designs. So this is Barbara Anna Designs Autumn Tree. I've been working on this one for a while, and we are nearing the end. So I did get the floss in. I don't know if I was able to tell you that last time or not, but I did get the floss in that I had run out of. So here it is as it stands. So I have pretty well completed this entire side, including the little girl down there at the bottom, and I really like her. Quite nice. Now there's a few things I need to fill in still. The bird's eye here needs to be filled in. There's some on this acorn that needs to be done. But other than that, that side of the tree is just about complete. I have half a row of stitches to complete on the bottom of the tree, 1 more branch and a few more motifs, and then a beautiful fox there at the ground, and it will be done. So I am going to guess that this is going to take, another 2 weeks in my rotation, and then it should be done. I really like this one. It is being worked on a piece of, oh my goodness. I believe it is a linen. Can't remember the colorway, but it is a piece of linen in a 28 count, I believe. And from the orange stitching, I am going to guess it's a Zweigart base. But there it is. And that one is being worked in all of the called for DMC colors. And that is the only piece that I am working on a hoop. The crow is being worked in the Q-snap frame. The autumn tree is being worked in a hoop, and everything else I stitch in hand, which is another reason why it's difficult for me to stitch in the summertime, because I don't use hoops or anything like that. I stitch completely in hand, so that gets a little bit difficult when it's really hot. All right, next piece. This is the fairy door, and this one is coming out of the Ultimate Cross Stitch Fairies book. And let me see, where did it go? Hold please. Nope, that's different fairy doors. Oh, for the love of Pete. Okay, there we go. So it is by Fiona Baker. And this is the finish that they've done, sort of as a little drum type finish. As I've said before, I'm not going to be doing that type of a finish. I am going to be doing it in just framed up on the wall. And this is the one that I did change a lot. I have changed all of the colors. I found that it was a little bit too bright for me. So this is all being worked in DMC, but in much more muted colors than the pattern or than the chart called for. I have put in most of this ivy. I have not worked any of the back stitching yet. So I did have a viewer who is new to cross stitch and was asking, what is back stitch? What am I referring to? So for those of you who are new to cross stitch, a lot of patterns in the 80s, especially the 80s and early 90s, and a lot of the stuff still coming out of Europe have a lot of back stitching in it. Now what back stitching does, as you can see on this piece, there's not a lot of definition in the motifs. Things seem to be blending together. So what you do is you go back, usually with black floss, but sometimes with colored floss as well. And it's charted, and you follow the chart, and it shows you where to sort of outline with a dark or a single colored floss. And it really does help to add definition. Now, some people really dislike back stitching. I actually quite enjoy back stitching because I like to see the motifs pop out. I like to see that definition that happens. Some people do their back stitching as they go. I like to wait to the very end. I like to get all of the other stitching done and then go back and finish off with the back stitching. Just as sort of that final step. Sort of like how people bead. Some people bead as they go, and some people put the beading on at the very end. I like to back stitch at the end and then just see that the design pop and blossom, and I really enjoy the back stitching. So what have I still got to do on this one? I still have to work the window that is on top of the door. There is a round window on top of the door, and then on this side there's another bit of this stone wall. There are some dragonflies and another window with a window box underneath it. So again, this is one that I'm expecting to take another 2 to 3 rotations for me to get through, and then it too will be ready to be finished. All right. Well, moving right along. Oops. It would help if I could get things into the bag. Because if I don't tidy as I go, then when I'm finished, it is a huge mess in here. And then I have to spend time cleaning it up. So if I keep things tidy as I go, no big cleanup at the end. All right, moving on. All right, so in this one is my Who's There by Prairie Schooler. And this is the Who's There chart. And I have made a fair amount of progress on this piece. This is where I'm at. So I believe since the last time you've seen this, I have filled in all of this ground, and I have filled in the fence on this side and the beginning of the tree on this side. So I've still got the skeletons to do on either side there. And then it will be a little bit of back stitching through here. So there are some back stitched details, and then I will move on to the next motif. So if you've been watching this for a while, you will know that I have a fairly large piece of 32 count lambswool. And I am going to be putting 4 of the motifs from this sort of series onto this piece of lambswool linen. I'm still really enjoying stitching on this linen. It is a fairly stiff linen, so I know it's not going to be to everybody's liking, but I quite enjoy it. It is easy to count on, so if linen is something that you're just thinking about stepping into, this might be a good option for you. And it is a 32 count, so that would be translate into like a 16 count in an aida. So that's the size you would get out of your designs. So quite pleased with how this one is turning out. I find it amazing how much detail are in these charts when there's only 3 colors. Pretty amazing. Well, there will be 4 because I'm going to be adding some green, but pretty amazing to be able to get that much detail out of so few colors. So I am working this one in DMC flosses, not in necessarily the called for colors specifically, but the called for colors, whereas I'm using black for black and brown for brown and orange for orange, substituting some green in there, but not necessarily the exact orange that they're calling for. This was a, what have I got in my stash and how can I use it up? So again, getting close to a completion on here. I'm thinking that this design, again, it feels like I'm gonna have a flurry of finishes all at once, where I'm going to be finishing up, 3 or 4 projects all in the same week. And that's kind of what happened at the beginning of May as well. So that will be interesting to see. All right, moving right along. I have Merry Merry Needleworker. So this is a Lindy Stitches design. It was a market release, a 2020 market release. Trying to find the cover page. There it is, which is not printed out in color because, that's how I roll. So this is being stitched on a 18 count aida cloth that I hand dyed myself. I am really pleased with how this one is turning out. I now have all the flosses that I need to complete this piece. Her skirt is being worked in a color by hand-dyed by Rolanda, which I have to say I am loving her flosses. The variegation in this floss is perfect for the skirt, in my opinion. Now the scissor, the stork scissor, how brilliant, first of all, how brilliant is that stork scissor? Seriously, that's amazing. And this little bumblebee is to die for. Believe it or not, I have put an entire skein of floss into this piece with the variegated, with the skirt. That is already a whole skein of floss. So that is color number 4 from Hand-Dyed by Rolanda. And this is what it looks like. And yes, this is 8 yards of floss. And I've used an entire 8 yards of floss in that part of the skirt. So this is going to use up a lot of floss. Thank goodness I got 5 of them. Yeah, so this is sort of a mix of DMC, hand-dyed by Rolanda. I have some Weeks Dye Works in here. So a nice schmozzle of dyers, making some color substitutions, just making it my own. I am really enjoying this stitch. It's a lot of fun. The border is fantastic. Like I said, the scissors, amazing. Now that I have all of the flosses that I need, I'm finding it a little easier. I started out with only having the flosses I needed for her skirt. And yeah, it's not the most exciting stitching back and forth for her skirt. It gets a little bit more interesting around the words because you do have to do a little bit of counting. But I am really, really, really still in love with this piece, and I can hardly wait for it to be finished so it can go up on my wall. I love it. I love it, love it, love it. And as I said, that is Lindy Stitches, and her podcasts are amazing. Her designs are amazing. Definitely someone I aspire to be when I grow up. And final piece to share with you today is, I did show this to you before. It was just started before. So this is a Darlin and Whimsy design pattern. And there it is there. And it is called Lavender's Blue, based on that old traditional song, Lavender's blue, dilly dilly, lavender's green. Love the song. Very much brings me back to my childhood, and I love this little chart. Now, this is one that surprised me, and I mean the sizes, the stitch count are right on the chart, but it still surprised me with how small and petite it is, and I absolutely adore it. So this is where I have gotten to. So last time I believe I had the border done. And I have filled in the words Lavender's Blue and a couple of pieces of lavender there, which are absolutely beautiful. This is an amazing little design. Now, as you can see in the chart, it was originally charted on purple fabric. I had a scrap piece of vintage country mocha. I believe it's an 18 count vintage country mocha from a previous finish. So I'm using up that little scrap piece, and it looks like I will still have a little bit left over for maybe a little tiny mini ornament or something when all is said and done. But there it is there. And I know that last time I said I was planning to do this as a pillow finish. Now really I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether I'm going to pillow finish this or whether I'm going to get a little frame and do something similar to what they've done in the model, because I think that's so pretty. And I have some gorgeous pieces of lace. I actually have a little frame. Oh, I didn't grab it. Oh, I'll show it to you next time. I do have a little frame. It's not white, but it's blue, so I think it would go nicely. And I think it is the right size, but it wouldn't leave any room for any of this extra stuff. So I may just have to go get another frame. That's a little bit bigger along the bottom there, so that I can finish it off with some pretty lace like they've done in the sample. Again, this is stitched in, I believe, all of the called for DMCs except one. It calls for 552, and I'm using 553. So a slightly different purple, but other than that, I think it's beautiful. And this one I should have finished probably by next time. So that is Darlin and Whimsy Designs, and they are a fellow Canadian designer. Hooray! All right. And that is it for the projects that I am currently working on. Well, other than the one super secret project, but I'll show you that one when it's finished. So yes, I believe that is all of, oh my goodness, struggles. Onto the floor it goes. So I believe those are all of my current works in progress. So I am going to step away for 2 seconds, and when I come back, I am going to show you all of my new charts that came in. Hooray! Alrighty, so to start off the chart parade, now this one is still in its little package, and I'm going to take it out so it can cut down on the glare. So I am a huge fan of Barbara Anna Designs. I think what she does is absolutely amazing. I love her style. It is a very folk arty look, in my opinion, and I really like it. So I picked up this piece from 123 Stitch, I believe, just to fill out my order so that it wasn't quite as small. I believe the saying goes, no floss can travel alone, or no chart can travel. Needless to say, I got some floss and a pattern. So this is by the prickle, or it's called Something Wicked. And it's got by the prickling of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. And I really, really like this piece. Yeah, so that's a new Barbara Anna Designs, and that is from 123 Stitch. I don't think I showed that to you before. If I did, I apologize. And some of my, purchases that I made from Michelle Bendy Stitchy in her destash came in. So first off, I have this teeny tiny Little House Needleworks Main Street Station. So it is obviously one of their winter collections where they do sort of a whole bunch of different little ones that go together. But I thought this was really cute. It's got the little train in the station. And I am thinking of playing with this one a little bit when I stitch it up and turning that into the Hogwarts Express. Because Harry Potter. So there's that one. From Lindsay Lane Designs, Welcome Little Stranger. Pull that one out of the plastic so that there's less glare. There it is there. It's quite cute. So it just says, Welcome Little Stranger, 1780. And it's only in two colors, Ecru and Alpine Taupe. It is charted using Gloriana Silks. I most likely will not be using Gloriana Silks, and will just be using an off-white and a sort of taupey color that I may or may not already have, but I certainly won't be, well, not, I won't say certainly. Chances are I won't be using the Gloriana Silks. But I thought that was really cute. Then we have a bit of an older chart, it looks like. It is from the Cricket collection, the Cross-Eyed Cricket, and it is the it's some sunflower charts. So there's this one here that says, friends, they are kind to each other's hopes and cherish each other's dreams. That's kind of neat there. But what I actually got it for was this one here, which says it's called Sunflower Welcome. Yeah, I thought that was quite pretty. It's got some little pansies underneath here in a pot and a beautiful sunflower. Yeah, I quite like that. The chart is copyright 1994. And finally, I got from Waxing Moon Designs, Warm Winter Wishes. I believe I saw Java Girl having done this. I could be wrong, but I believe it was Java Girl who did this last year. And it shows a little snowman warming his tush on the fire, which I thought was really, really cute. It is a 2004 Waxing Moons design. It is charted in Gentle Arts threads, but it does list DMC alternates. And it is charted on 14 count. What they've used in the model is a 28 count antique blue Joblin. I have not started kitting this one up at all yet, so I'm not sure what I will chart it with, but I think that is really, really cute. All right, so that is all of my charts that have come in. As I said, I believe it's 4 more coming from the 1884 stitchery, because in my opinion, collecting charts and cross-stitching are 2 separate hobbies. Sort of like collecting yarn and crocheting, 2 separate hobbies. The same thing seems to be happening with cross-stitch and charts. Oh, and floss. Let's not forget the floss that we collect as well. So those are my new charts that have come in. That is my little bit of haul. And finally, I have to share with you some pieces of aida that I have dyed myself and that are currently in my Etsy shop. So please hold for one moment. All right. So let me show you my latest creations. So first off, these are all 16 count aida. Well, they were 16 count aida before dyeing. I know they will have tightened up just a little bit. So I have been playing with some ice dyeing, and this is the first of 3 pieces that I will show you today. Quite pleased with how this worked out. There's this one, which is similar in its color tones, but has a lot more of the aqua to it. Show you the other side because they do look different from either side. And again, these started out life as 16 count aida. And they are, this one is 17 by 14 are the approximate give or take sizes. And finally, there's this one here. So the last piece that I had, the 4th piece that already sold out of the Etsy shop, was very vibrant, very reds and oranges, whereas this one has quite a bit more yellow to it. But I really like how these have turned out, and they are proving to be quite popular on good old Etsy. So if you are interested in any of my hand-dyed fabrics or in my charts, they are all on Etsy. I do ship across North America, so I ship to the US and Canada, and my shipping is always free. So for sure, come and take a look and see what I have to offer. I will link my Etsy shop below. But if you are interested, come on over and take a peek and see what we've got going on, or what I've got going on over in the Etsy shop. All right. I think that's it. That's all I have to show you today. My plans for this week, as I said, I want to get some finishes done, some full finishes, so I should have those to share with you next time, as well as continuing to stitch on my secret piece. I'm really pushing to try and get the secret piece finished for a July release. I will give you one little hint. It is a sunflower piece. So there are sunflowers in this chart. And that's all I will give you until it is ready to be released. So that is it. That is all I've got for you today. Please have fun with your stitching. Enjoy every last stitch you put in there. Be kind to yourself. I know that right now the world is unstable. It feels very unstable out there. Be kind to each other. Be kind to yourself. We need to treat each other with respect and understanding, empathy, and kindness. If we can remember those things when we're dealing with our fellow human beings, the world will be a much better place. So until next time, which should be, let me see, as I said, today is June 12th. So I should have another floss tube up on or around June 26th. So until then, have fun with your stitches, be kind, and we'll see you then. Bye now.